The first thing I noticed when I opened my front door was the smell of cheap beer and pizza. Not the welcome I expected after 3 days at a marketing conference in Boston. My heels clicked against the hardwood floors I'd spent a small fortune refinishing last spring, as I wheeled my carry-on toward the living room. I'm Mila, and until that moment I thought I had a pretty good handle on my life. "Oh hey, you're back early." A man's voice, but not my husband's, called from my cream leather sofa. Lionel, my brother-in-law, sprawled across it wearing what looked suspiciously like my husband's monogrammed robe. His feet, still in muddy sneakers, rested on my coffee table. "Lionel?" I managed, my throat tight. "What are you?" "Babe!" Atticus appeared from the kitchen, beer in hand. "Surprise!" He grinned like he'd just presented me with flowers instead of an unemployed houseguest. "What's going on?" I set down my bag, fighting to keep my voice steady. "Leo needed a place to crash for a bit. Got laid off from that tech startup." Atticus dropped onto the couch beside his brother. "Be nice, babe. He's family." I stood there, still in my work clothes, watching them high-five like teenagers. The living room I'd carefully decorated looked like a frat house, with empty pizza boxes and beer cans scattered everywhere. "How long is a bit?" I asked. "Don't worry about it," Atticus waved dismissively. "Just until he gets back on his feet." "Yes, sis," Leonel smirked. "Don't be such a buzzkill." I excused myself to the kitchen, needing a moment to process. Through the doorway, I could hear them talking, their voices carrying clearly. "Man, she seems uptight," Lionel said. "Nah, she's just tired from her cute little job thing," Atticus replied. "Marketing conferences or whatever. Must be nice having time for that stuff." "Right, she's got nothing better to do anyway." My hands gripped the counter so hard my knuckles turned white. 3 years of marriage, and this was the first time I'd heard my husband talk about me this way. Or maybe it wasn't the first time. Maybe it was just the first time I'd caught it. "Hey, babe," Atticus called out. "While you're in there, could you grab us some more beers?" I opened the fridge, staring at the 6-pack they'd already raided. "We're out," I lied. "What? I just bought some yesterday." "Sorry." I wasn't. "Can you run to the store?" Lionel chimed in. "And maybe grab some chips too?" I closed the fridge and walked back to the living room. I just got off a flight. I'm tired. "Come on, Mila," Atticus said, his tone condescending. "It'll take 20 minutes. I have an early meeting tomorrow." "God, you're always about work." He rolled his eyes. "Relax a little." Lionel snickered. "Women, right?" I picked up my suitcase and headed upstairs, their laughter following me. In our bedroom, my bedroom really, since I'd bought this house before I met Atticus, I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my work clothes. My phone buzzed. A text from Paige, my colleague. "Home safe? Dinner tomorrow to discuss the Peterson account?" I typed back. "Home, but not safe. Can we make it lunch instead? I need to talk to you. Everything okay?" I looked at the door, hearing more laughter drift up from downstairs. "No," I replied. "But it will be." Another text came through, this time from Atticus. "Since you're being weird about the beer run, can you at least order some food? Leo's hungry." I stared at the message, something shifting inside me. 3 years of marriage, and somehow I'd become the help. The maid, the errand girl, the buzzkill. Standing up, I walked to my closet and pulled out the fireproof safe hidden in the back. Inside was every important document I owned, including the deed to this house. My house. My name alone on every page. "Mila!" Atticus shouted from downstairs. "Did you see my text?" I closed the safe, a plan already forming. "Coming!" I called back, my voice honey-sweet. But in my mind, I was already counting down the days until they'd both learn exactly whose house they were making themselves so comfortable in. Sometimes the biggest power move is letting people think they have all the power. And right now, watching my husband and his brother treat my home like their personal bachelor pad, I realised just how much power they thought they had. They had no idea what was coming. 2 weeks into Lionel's temporary stay, I sat across from Paige at our usual lunch spot, pushing my salad around the plate. "He ate my yogurt," I said. "The special Greek ones I order online, left the empty containers in the sink. The ones that cost $8 each." Paige's fork stopped midway to her mouth. "All 6 of them. When I mentioned it, Atticus said I was being petty about groceries." I stabbed a cherry tomato. "That's not even the worst part. Yesterday, I found Lionel using my laptop. He what? Said his was acting up. When I told him that was my work computer with confidential client information, he laughed and said I should learn to share. Paige set down her fork. Mila, this isn't okay. Remember when we first met Atticus? He seemed so different. He was. I thought back to our first date. Or maybe he just showed me what I wanted to see. The waiter arrived with our coffees, and I waited until he left before continuing. Last night, I came home late from the Peterson meeting. They'd ordered takeout but didn't save me any. Instead, Atticus asked why dinner wasn't ready. He didn't. Oh, but he did, said, and I quote, "You know Leo's staying with us. The least you could do is make sure there's food." The least you could do? Paige's voice rose enough to draw looks from nearby tables. In your own house? I took a sip of coffee. They don't know it's my house. What do you mean they don't know? Didn't you tell Atticus when you got married? He never asked, just assumed we'd split everything 50-50. I smiled grimly. Funny how he never offered to split the mortgage payments, though. Mila, Paige leaned forward, you need to tell them. I will. But first, I need to make a few calls. Back home that evening, I found Lionel sprawled on my couch again, watching sports on my TV, feet up on my coffee table, the same position he'd been in for 2 weeks straight. Hey sis, he called out without looking away from the screen. We're out of beer again. I walked past him to the kitchen where dishes filled the sink, my dishes, the ones I'd brought from my grandmother's collection. A pot of sauce had crusted over on my stovetop. Oh yeah, Lionel shouted. We made pasta. There might be some left if you want to heat it up. I opened the fridge. Empty containers of my yogurt. Half-eaten takeout boxes. Beer cans everywhere, but no pasta. Atticus coming home soon? I called back. Nah, he's working late. Said not to wait up. I pulled out my phone and opened my photos. Started documenting everything, the mess, the empty containers, the damaged furniture. Then I called Felicity. Hey stranger, my best friend's familiar voice answered. How's the house guest situation? Remember when you said to call if I ever needed legal advice? I kept my voice low. I need it now. Give me 30 minutes. I'll bring wine. True to her word, Felicity arrived with a bottle and her briefcase. We sat at my kitchen island while I showed her the photos. And look at this. I pulled out a credit card statement. Charges I never made. Atticus has been using my card for months. Felicity's lawyer mode kicked in. Do you have proof it was him? Receipts from golf clubs, sports bars, places I've never been, plus this. I showed her a text from Atticus. Thanks for letting me use your card for Leo's stuff. You're the best, babe. Oh, honey, Felicity's eyes narrowed. We're going to have fun with this. I want them out, I said. Both of them. It's your house. You can have them out in 2 weeks with proper notice. She pulled out some papers. But first, let's talk strategy. We were still talking when Atticus came home. He stopped short seeing Felicity. Ladies' night? He asked, his charm switching on like a light. Just catching up, I smiled sweetly. How was work? Good. Hey, while you're both here, Leo and I were thinking of converting your office into a game room. You can work from the guest room, right? I felt Felicity tense beside me, but I kept smiling. We'll discuss it later. After he went upstairs, Felicity grabbed my hand. Tell me you're ready to do this. I looked at the papers spread between us. Eviction notices, documentation of financial abuse, property records. More than ready. Good. She started organising the documents. Because they have no idea who they're dealing with. Neither did I, really. But I was about to find out. The next morning, I started my plan with a simple change. I didn't make coffee. For 3 years, I had Atticus's coffee ready when he woke up. Not today. Babe? His confused voice carried down the stairs. Is the coffee maker broken? No, I called back, packing my laptop. Just running late. Could you make some real quick? Sorry, big presentation today. You know where everything is. I heard him mumbling as he stumbled into the kitchen. Small victories. At work, I met with Lucas from the creative team to discuss the Peterson campaign. He noticed something was off. You seem different today, he said, sliding a coffee across the conference table. More determined. Let's just say I'm done being underestimated. I pulled up our presentation. Speaking of which, I have some ideas for the campaign. We worked through lunch, and I deliberately ignored 3 texts from Atticus asking what was for dinner. Around 4, Paige stopped by my office. "Your husband's brother just called the main line asking for you," she said, closing the door. "Said your cell wasn't working." "It's working fine." I showed her the ignored texts. "I'm just busy." He said, and I quote, "Tell her to pick up some beer on her way home." Paige's expression darkened. I told him this was a professional office and hung up. "Perfect," I smiled. "That's exactly what I needed." That evening, I arrived home later than usual. Leonel was in his usual spot on the couch, but something was different. He looked annoyed. "Where have you been?" he demanded. "We're starving." "Working." I set down my bag. "There's a great pizza place around the corner. They deliver." "But you always cook on Thursdays." "Things change." Atticus emerged from the kitchen. "Babe, what's going on? You've been weird all day." "Nothing's going on." I headed upstairs. "I'm just busy with work." "This is about the game room thing, isn't it?" He followed me. "Come on, you barely use that office anyway." I turned to face him. "Actually, I use it every day. For my job. The one that pays for this house." "Our house," he corrected automatically. "Is it?" I raised an eyebrow. "When's the last time you contributed to the mortgage?" His face flushed. "I buy groceries." "No, you use my credit card to buy groceries. There's a difference." "What's gotten into you?" He stepped closer, trying to be intimidating. "This isn't like you." "You're right." I stepped around him. The old me would have already made dinner and apologised for working late. "Mila, I have calls to make." I closed the office door in his face and locked it. Inside, I pulled out my phone and called Felicity. "How's Operation Take Out the Trash going?" she asked. "Phase 1 complete. They're downstairs right now, probably ordering pizza with my credit card." "Perfect. I've got the papers ready. When do you want to serve them?" "Not yet." I opened my laptop. I want them to feel what it's like when the power shifts first. The next morning, I woke up early and packed my gym bag with enough clothes for a few days. As I headed out, Leonel called from the couch where he'd apparently slept. "Hey, where's breakfast?" "Sorry," I said. Not sorry at all. "Gym before work. Big client meeting today." "But what are we supposed to eat?" "There's this amazing invention called a kitchen. Feel free to use it." At work, Lucas caught me checking local apartment listings. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Just doing some research for family members who might need new housing soon." He nodded knowingly. "Let me know if you need anything. Sometimes family can be complicated." That evening, I didn't go home. Instead, I checked into a hotel and ordered room service. My phone buzzed with messages. "Atticus, where are you?" "Atticus. This isn't funny anymore. Leonel. The Wi-Fi's not working. Did you forget to pay the bill?" "Atticus. At least tell me you're okay." "Atticus. Mila?" I sent one response. "I'm fine. Working late. Don't wait up." Then I called Felicity. "You should see the security footage from my doorbell camera," I said. "They tried to order groceries for delivery but couldn't because I froze my credit card." "How long are you going to let them stew?" I took a bite of my hotel burger, the first peaceful meal I'd had in weeks. "Just long enough for them to realise how much they've taken for granted. Then we'll serve the papers. And the house." "Oh, they'll find out about that soon enough." I smiled, watching the sunset from my hotel window. Very soon. 3 days at the hotel had done wonders for my mental clarity. I returned home on a Sunday morning, finding Atticus and Leonel surrounded by take-out containers and empty beer cans they'd apparently paid for themselves. "Where the hell have you been?" Atticus jumped up. "I was worried sick." "Really?" I set down my bag. "Because your texts seemed more concerned about dinner and Wi-Fi passwords than my well-being. You can't just disappear like that," he said, reaching for me. I stepped back. "I didn't disappear. I was working. You know, at my cute little job." His face fell. "You heard that?" "I hear everything, Atticus." "I just stopped pretending I didn't." Leonel snorted from the couch. "Drama queen." I turned to him. "By the way, I got an interesting call from my bank about attempted charges on my frozen credit card. Care to explain?" "We needed food," Leonel protested. "And you weren't here to..." "To what? Cook? Clean? Be your personal ATM?" Atticus stepped between us. "Babe, let's talk about this privately." "Nothing to talk about." I headed upstairs. "I'm going to shower and then work in my office. My office, not your future game room." "Come on," he followed me. "Don't be like this. We're family." I stopped at the bedroom door. Family respects boundaries. Family contributes. Family doesn't treat someone like the help in their own home. Our home, he corrected again, but with less conviction. Interesting you keep saying that. I closed the door in his face and locked it. Later that afternoon, my doorbell camera alerted me to a visitor. Emily, my mother-in-law, stood at the front door with what looked like a casserole dish. Perfect. Right on schedule. I let her in, watching as she took in the mess her sons had made. Atticus called, she said, setting down the dish. He's very worried about you, dear. Is he worried about me, or worried about losing his comfortable setup? Now, Mila, she perched on the edge of my sofa, marriage is about compromise. Sometimes we need to put family first. Funny how it's always the wife who needs to compromise. Well, she smiled tightly, that's just how it is sometimes. Men need support, especially during tough times. And what about what I need? Dear, you have a lovely job. Atticus and Lionel are taking advantage, I cut in, and it stops now. Her smile faltered. What do you mean? I pulled out my phone and played a recording from last week. Atticus and Lionel laughing about how I was basically the maid and how they should milk it while it lasts. Emily's face reddened. It's not appropriate to record private conversations. It's not appropriate to mooch off someone while mocking them either, but here we are. I don't know what's gotten into you, she stood up, but this isn't how a wife behaves. No, this is how a homeowner behaves when she's had enough. What? Just then, Atticus and Lionel came through the front door carrying grocery bags, probably bought with the emergency cash Atticus kept in his drawer. Mum? Atticus stopped short. What are you doing here? Trying to talk some sense into your wife. Emily shook her head. She's being ridiculous about the living arrangements. Oh, I smiled. Did they tell you whose house this is? It's their home too, Emily insisted. Actually, I pulled out my phone again, this time opening an email. I just got an interesting notification from my bank. Seems someone tried to take out a home equity loan. Care to explain, Atticus? The grocery bags dropped to the floor. Atticus went pale. I was just exploring options for Leo's situation. Using my house as collateral? Our house, he said weakly. Show them, I called up to Felicity, who'd been quietly watching from the top of the stairs. She came down holding a folder. What's this? Emily demanded. Property records, Felicity said professionally, showing that this house was purchased by Mila 3 years before she met Atticus. Sole owner, sole proprietor. The silence was deafening. That's not possible, Lionel stammered. Oh, it's possible, I said. And there's more. But let's save that for tomorrow's dinner. I'm cooking. One last time. Mila, Atticus stepped forward. Whatever you're thinking. You should all leave now, I cut him off. I have work to do. In my office. In my house. They filed out, Emily shooting me daggers, Lionel looking shell-shocked, Atticus trying to catch my eye. I closed the door behind them. That went well, Felicity said. It's not over yet. I picked up the dropped groceries. Tomorrow we serve the main course. The eviction papers? Among other things. I smiled. Hope they enjoy their last dinner here. The next morning, I caught Lionel in my home office, rifling through my desk drawers. Looking for something? I asked from the doorway. He jumped, scattering papers. Jesus! I needed a pen. In my locked office? In my bottom drawer? Look, he straightened up, trying to look authoritative. Atticus asked me to find the property papers. This whole thing about you owning the house? It's got to be a mistake. The only mistake, I stepped into the room, was thinking you had the right to go through my things. We're family. Stop saying that like it's a blank cheque to take advantage of me, he scoffed. Take advantage? We've been nothing but nice to you. Nice? I laughed. Is that what you call eating my food, using my credit cards and mocking my career? You're twisting things. Am I? I pulled out my phone. Should we review the security footage of you breaking into my office? Or maybe the credit card statements showing all the emergency cash withdrawals? His face darkened. You've been spying on us? No, I've been protecting myself. There's a difference. Atticus is right. You've changed. I haven't changed. I've woken up. He stormed past me, shouldering me roughly on his way out. I heard him on the phone moments later. Bro, We need to talk. Your wife's gone crazy. I spent the afternoon cooking, a full spread of their favourites. Atticus's preferred steak, Lionel's favourite sides, even Emily's beloved apple pie recipe. The table was set perfectly, wine breathing in crystal decanters. They arrived together, exactly as I'd expected. Emily carried a bottle of wine like a peace offering. "Smells wonderful, dear," she said cautiously. "Sit," I gestured to the table. "Everything's ready." Atticus tried to kiss my cheek. I turned away. "Babe," he said softly, "can we talk about this?" "After dinner." We sat down, the tension thick enough to cut with the expensive steak knives I'd set out. I served everyone silently. "This is really good," Lionel offered after a few bites. "Enjoy it," I smiled. "It's special." "See?" Emily brightened. "This is more like it. Family dinner, everyone together." "I found the loan application," I cut in, taking a sip of wine. "The one you helped Atticus prepare, Emily." The fork stopped halfway to her mouth. "I don't know what you're talking about." "The home equity loan. Your signature as a witness. Dated 3 weeks ago, right when Lionel moved in." Atticus set down his knife. "Mila, you needed capital for a new business venture, right, Lionel? Something about a startup?" Lionel's face reddened. "You don't understand business." "Actually, I understand it perfectly. You needed money. Atticus tried to get it using my house as collateral, and your mother helped with the paperwork." "It was for family," Emily insisted. "Family doesn't commit fraud." The word hung in the air like smoke. "That's a serious accusation," Atticus said quietly. "Not as serious as the evidence I have. Would you like to see it? The forged signatures? The backdated documents?" Emily pushed back from the table. "I won't sit here and be accused." "Then stand." I took another calm bite of steak. "But you should know that Felicity, you remember my lawyer friend, has copies of everything." "You're bluffing," Lionel sneered. I pulled out a folder from beside my chair and slid it across the table. "Read it. Especially the part about criminal charges for attempted mortgage fraud." Atticus grabbed the folder, his hands shaking as he read. "This is insane. We're your family." "No." I stood up. "You're people who saw something you wanted and tried to take it. But here's what's going to happen now. You're going to leave my house. Tonight." "You can't just throw us out," Emily protested. "Actually, I can. And I am." I pulled out another folder. "These are eviction papers. You have 2 weeks to find new arrangements." "And if we refuse," Lionel challenged, "then we do this the hard way, with police and fraud charges and public records." I smiled. "Your choice." Atticus stood up suddenly, his chair scraping back. "You've lost your mind." "No, I found my spine. There's a difference." They left in a flurry of threats and slammed doors. I sat back down at my perfectly set table, picked up my wine glass, and called Felicity. "Did you serve them?" she asked. "Better than I served dinner." I looked at the abandoned plates. "How long until they realise I'm serious?" "When the police show up tomorrow to investigate the fraud charges." "You really filed them?" "Of course. You asked me to be thorough." I smiled, raising my glass to the empty room. "Then let's see how they like being served cold justice for dessert." The police arrived at 9 a.m. sharp, just as I was leaving for work. Detective Rivera showed her badge while her partner took notes. "Mrs. Perry?" she asked. "Miss Armstrong, actually. I never changed my name." I handed her a folder. "Here's everything you need. The forged documents, bank statements, security footage of them breaking into my office." A car screeched into the driveway. Atticus jumped out, followed by Emily. "Mila!" he shouted. "What the hell is this?" Detective Rivera turned to face him. "Mr. Perry? Perfect timing. We have some questions about a loan application submitted in your wife's name." "This is ridiculous," Emily stepped forward. "We're family. This is a private matter." "Fraud isn't private," Detective Rivera said coolly. "Neither is forgery." "Forgery?" Atticus's face went white. "Mum, what did you do?" Emily's composure cracked. "I was trying to help. Lionel needed the money, and Mila has this big house all to herself." "That's enough, Mrs. Perry," the detective cut in. "Let's continue this discussion at the station." I left for work while they were still talking to the police. At the office, Lucas caught me smiling at my desk. "Good morning," he asked, getting better by the minute. My phone buzzed constantly. Texts from Atticus, voicemails from Emily, even messages from Lionel claiming he had no idea about the fraud attempt. I ignored them all. Around noon, Felicity called. "They're trying to get ahead of this," she said. "Emily's lawyer reached out. They want to make a deal." "No deals. They're offering to move out immediately if you drop the charges." I thought about all the nights I'd cooked for them, cleaned up after them, endured their condescending comments. Tell them I'll consider dropping the charges after they've moved out and signed a legal agreement never to contact me again. Already drafted it. I could hear her grinning. "You're getting good at this." When I got home that evening, the house was empty. A note sat on the kitchen counter in Atticus's handwriting. "We're staying at Mum's. Can we please talk about this? What happened to us?" I crumpled the note and started cleaning. As I was gathering their abandoned dishes, my doorbell rang. Lionel stood there, looking unusually humble. "Can I get my stuff?" I stepped aside. "You have 10 minutes. He shuffled past me to the guest room. "For what it's worth, I didn't know about the loan thing. But you knew they were trying to take my house for your startup." He paused. "Yeah, I guess I did. 9 minutes. He grabbed his bags quickly, not meeting my eyes. At the door, he turned back. "Atticus really loves you, you know." "No," I said. "Atticus loved having me. There's a difference." After he left, I called Paige. "They're out," I told her. "At least temporarily." "Good. By the way, you got the promotion." I sat down hard. "What?" "The Peterson campaign. They loved it. You're the new creative director." I laughed until tears came. Perfect timing. The next morning, Atticus was waiting by my car. "Can we talk?" He looked rough, like he hadn't slept. "About what? The fraud? The disrespect? Or how about the fact that you tried to steal my house?" "I never meant to get caught." I crossed my arms. "Save it. The police have everything they need." "Please." He stepped closer. "We can fix this. Go to counselling. Start over." "There's nothing to fix. You showed me exactly who you are, who you've always been." "What about our marriage?" I pulled out a folder from my bag. "Funny you should ask. These are divorce papers. Consider them my housewarming gift for your new place. Mila, you have until Friday to get the rest of your things. Anything left goes to donation. You can't just throw away 3 years. You threw them away." I unlocked my car. "I'm just taking out the trash." He grabbed my arm. "This isn't you. The Mila I married wouldn't... The Mila you married was a fantasy. You wanted a maid, a cook, an ATM, and a punching bag for your ego." I pulled free. "But you married a homeowner, a professional, and a woman who's done playing small to make you feel big." "I'll fight this," he called as I got in my car. "All of it." I rolled down the window. "Good luck with that. Oh, and Atticus, the security camera caught you grabbing my arm just now. Smile for the evidence folder." As I drove away, I saw him in my rearview mirror, standing there like a statue. 3 years of my life with him, and all I felt was relief watching him shrink into nothing. Sometimes the best revenge isn't serving it cold, it's serving it exactly the way they deserve it. Friday came faster than expected. I took the day off work to supervise Atticus and Lionel moving their things out. Felicity sat at my kitchen island, laptop open, watching like a hawk. "Remember," she warned them as they trudged up and down the stairs, "only items you can prove you purchased." Lionel muttered something under his breath. Atticus just looked defeated. The doorbell rang. Emily stood there with 2 burly men in moving company uniforms. "We're here for the furniture," she announced. "Which furniture would that be?" Felicity asked, not looking up from her laptop. "The living room set, the dining table. The ones Mila bought before meeting your son." Felicity pulled up receipts on her screen. "Those furniture pieces." Emily's face reddened. "This is ridiculous. You're turning this into a circus." "No," I stepped forward. "I'm turning this into a lesson in consequences." Just then, a police car pulled up. Detective Rivera stepped out, followed by another officer. "Everything okay here?" she asked, eyeing the moving truck. "They were just leaving," I said, "with only their personal belongings." Emily started to protest, but Atticus grabbed her arm. "Mum, don't! Please!" They worked in silence after that, taking only what was truly theirs, which wasn't much. As Lionel carried out his last box, he paused. "You know what? You two deserved each other. You're both cold as ice. Funny, I smiled. I feel warmer than ever. Atticus was the last to leave. He stood in the doorway looking at the house he'd tried to claim as his own. I did love you, he said quietly. No, you loved what I provided. There's a difference. Is there? We had a life here. You had a free ride. I had a wake-up call. He reached for his keys, then stopped. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret, I took the keys from his hand, is not doing it sooner. After they left, Detective Rivera approached with some papers. The DA's office has some questions about the loan application. Mrs. Perry's involvement seems extensive. Send everything to Felicity, I said. She'll handle it. That evening, Paige and Lucas came over with takeout and wine. To the new creative director. Lucas raised his glass. And to getting rid of dead weight, Paige added. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You've made a powerful enemy. Emily Perry doesn't forget. I showed it to Felicity. Perfect, she grinned. Add it to the harassment file. Your restraining order just got stronger. They really don't get it, do they? Paige shook her head. They will, I said, when Emily's fraud charges hit the local news tomorrow. You're not worried about retaliation? Lucas asked. That's why I installed the new security system. I pointed to the cameras. And why I kept every threatening text, every recorded conversation, every piece of evidence. My phone rang. Atticus again. I declined the call and played the voicemail on speaker. Babe, please. Mom's freaking out about the fraud charges. We can work this out. I'll move back in. We'll get counselling. I deleted it mid-sentence. He still thinks he has power here, Felicity observed. Men like that always do, Paige said, until they don't. Another text came through, this time from Lionel. You've destroyed our family. Hope you're happy. Should I respond? I asked Felicity. With this, she typed quickly and showed me the screen. Your family destroyed itself. I just stopped paying for the demolition. I hit send. You know they'll keep trying, Lucas warned. Let them. I stood up and walked to my windows in my house, bought with my money. Every threat, every plea, every attempt at manipulation just makes my case stronger. Speaking of cases, Felicity pulled out some papers. The DA wants to move forward with charges against Emily. Apparently, this isn't her first attempt at financial fraud. Of course it isn't, I laughed. Women like that don't start with their daughter-in-law. My doorbell camera pinged. Atticus again, standing on my porch with what looked like flowers. Want me to call the police? Paige reached for her phone. No need. I pressed the intercom. Atticus, you have 30 seconds to leave before the silent alarm calls them automatically. Your choice. We watched him hesitate, then slowly walk away, dropping the flowers in my trash bin. You know what's funny? I turned to my friends. A month ago, that would have broken my heart. Now it just confirms I made the right choice. To choices, Lucas raised his glass again. To consequences, Felicity added. To freedom, I finished, taking a sip of wine in my quiet, clean, peaceful home. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just serving it cold, it's watching them realise they can never warm it up again. The morning of Emily's court hearing, I sat in the back row of the courtroom watching justice unfold. She pleaded guilty to fraud charges, not just for my case, but for 3 other incidents spanning the past decade. You didn't have to come, Felicity whispered beside me. Yes, I did. Emily turned around once, her eyes finding mine. I didn't look away. The judge sentenced her to probation and mandatory restitution payments. As she left the courtroom, I heard her muttering about ungrateful daughters-in-law. My phone buzzed. A text from Atticus. Happy now? You've ruined my mother's life. I showed it to Felicity, who snapped a photo for the harassment file. Your ex really doesn't learn, does he? Outside the courthouse, Lionel was waiting. Come to threaten me again? I asked. Actually, he shifted uncomfortably. I came to apologise. Really? The startup I wanted funding for? It was a scam. I knew it. Mom knew it, but we thought... He trailed off. Thought I was too stupid to figure it out. Something like that. He looked at his shoes. Anyway, I'm moving to Seattle. Fresh start. Good luck with that. Back at work, I found Lucas waiting in my office. The Peterson campaign won an industry award, he grinned. Creative director. We won it, I corrected. Team effort. Speaking of teams, Paige appeared in the doorway. Guess who just tried to apply for a marketing position here? No way. Yes way. Atticus said he had inside knowledge of our creative process. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. Please tell me you kept the application. Better. Paige held up her phone. I recorded the interview. Want to hear him explain how he basically ran your campaigns from home? Add it to the evidence file, Felicity said, walking in. Also, you've got mail. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a cheque from Emily, the first restitution payment, and a note. I hope you're satisfied with destroying our family. Frame it, I said, next to the court order. That evening, I hosted a dinner party, my first since the divorce. Paige, Lucas, and Felicity sat around my dining table, which now held only positive memories. To new beginnings, Lucas raised his glass, and clean houses, Paige added. My doorbell camera pinged. We all looked at our phones to see Atticus standing there alone. Should I asked. Your house. You're cool, Felicity said. I pressed the intercom. Yes? Can we talk? Please? I've been doing therapy and... No. Mila, please! I know I messed up. Atticus, I cut in. The only thing you need to know is this. Every time you show up here, every message you send, every attempt to contact me just proves I made the right decision. I miss you. No. You miss having someone to control. There's a difference. I never controlled. Goodbye, Atticus. I turned off the intercom and rejoined my friends. You okay? Paige asked. Better than okay. I picked up my wine glass. I'm free. Speaking of freedom, Felicity pulled out her tablet. The divorce is final. Just got the notification. We all cheered. You know what the best part is? I said, looking around my peaceful home. I never needed their permission to be powerful. I just needed to stop giving it away. To taking back power. Lucas raised his glass. And keeping it, Paige added. My phone buzzed one last time. Another text from Atticus. You'll regret this. Nobody will ever love you like I did. I showed it to my friends and typed back, you're right, they'll love me better. Then I blocked his number, turned back to my real family, the ones who supported me, respected me, celebrated me, and felt nothing but peace. You know what's funny? I said, looking around the table. They thought they were taking advantage of me, but they were really just teaching me exactly who I didn't want to be. To lessons learned, Felicity raised her glass. To boundaries set, Paige added. To peace restored, Lucas chimed in. No, I smiled, feeling truly at home for the first time in years. To differences understood, consequences served, and power reclaimed. We clinked glasses as the sun set outside my windows in my house, filled with my chosen family. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just serving it cold, or watching them realise they can never warm it up again. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well, surrounded by people who know the difference between love and control, respect and entitlement, family and parasites. And that difference makes all the difference in the world.